Welcome to Thursday, April 14th, 2022. This Day Weather Podcast brought to you exclusively by Cowboy State Daily, Wyoming's news authority. Visit them at cowboystatedaily.com and on their Facebook page. April weather is a little bit like, well, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and we're going to really experience that over the next 7 days. We're going to start to experience different weather again, but we still have to suffer through some unseasonably cold weather. We may have some record cold temperatures set in parts of northern Wyoming, western South Dakota, North Dakota. Temperatures could be broken in terms of record cold over the next 48 hours in those areas. Many areas down into the single digits and teens. Daytime temperatures not getting out of the 20s in many areas. We continue to see a Pacific pipeline of moisture that will bring occasional mountain snow and snow showers on the plains through the weekend. Now, the plains we really don't see much, but there's going to be a little bit of moisture. The high country, though, this is a really good pattern to add to the snowpack. We saw a 3 to 5% increase in some of the snowpack areas of Colorado and Wyoming over the last several days. We may add a few percentage points to those totals here before the weekend is over. Temperatures will be warmer next week. So Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, temperatures next week snap back, and next week I'm promising you a return to some better weather. But we're going to kind of have to suffer through this Easter weekend, I'm afraid. Another system comes the middle of next week, a quick mover, not a big one. Now, we do see other storm systems coming next weekend. There's one next weekend coming. There's another one following that. The big thing is we're getting storms, but they're taking tracks to the north. Will this happen again, or will these storms track further south? Don't know yet. A lot of disagreement in the long-range modeling, but we do see other opportunities for needed precipitation for the region. The tracks of these storms is what we've got to figure out. Today's satellite photo shows just how extensive this storm is. It is still moving very, very slowly over southwest Minnesota this morning. Here's the cold front and the counterclockwise spin around this system. This is a giant system in terms of its impacts. There will be an outbreak of severe weather, strong thunderstorms into this area here. It may even snow on the backside of the system in the mountains of the northeast U.S. as the system moves through. So the severe weather that's been in this part of the country over the last couple of days going to be going more to the east. You can see some clearing skies taking place right here. But let's take a look at the satellite photo from the Pacific. And what we see here, if you look at the structure, kind of look at some of the details here, you see this band of cloudiness right here? This is that Pacific pipeline of moisture I was talking about. Strong, moist jet stream winds will bring some needed rain to northern California, the northern Sierra Nevada. And you see these little pockets of blue here? This is cold, moist, unstable Pacific air coming inland into the Pacific Northwest, then eventually coming in to the Rockies of Colorado, Utah, Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, into the Sierra Nevada and the mountains, the Cascades of the Pacific Northwest. So basically, we've got the low up here spinning around and then a strong moist jet stream coming in behind it. And this is a great way to make it snow in the high country. There you can see the low here, and then this upper level low in the Pacific Northwest, and then just the strong flow of moisture off the Pacific into the western United States. This has led to some pretty cold weather. If you've been thinking April's been cold so far, you are right. These are the temperature anomalies through yesterday afternoon. Anywhere you see blue, temperatures for the month of April have been colder than normal. Anywhere you see white, average, and where you see the orange colors, that's where temperatures have been above average. You can see the center of the cold has been right here in the northern Rockies, back into the Pacific Northwest, then of course the northern plains. And if you were to look for the whole year, so since January 1st, the temperature anomalies for January 1st to yesterday, if you look at most of the United States and Canada, it has not been a warm year so far. Temperatures in many areas of the nation's midsection well below average for the year. So if you've been thinking that things are a little bit behind in terms of your tulips, your daffodils, and things budding out, well, that's why. It's just been a slow warm-up this spring, and I think it's going to continue that way through the weekend. Now, this is for tomorrow afternoon. The low moves into the southern parts of Hudson Bay. we've got a little upper level weather disturbance here just shooting moisture into the Pacific Northwest and the Northern Rockies. By Saturday night, a little wave comes through. This little wave is likely going to produce some rain showers and thunderstorms across the low elevations Saturday afternoon, Saturday night, with lingering showers into Easter morning on Sunday. And what this means is that it's going to be a little warmer Saturday, then behind the system, it's going to be a bit colder for Easter Sunday. As we go look at the precipitation, this is through Sunday afternoon. So this is from today through Sunday. Couple of things to highlight. Right here, there's that pipeline of moisture going into central and northern California. This is really good news for the northern Sierra. But also look, nice moisture here getting over the Cascades into central and eastern Oregon, into Boise, into the mountains of Idaho, and also into portions of Washington State. Then you can see this patch of moisture right here over the southern mountains of Wyoming and northern Colorado. That'll be good for the North Platte and South Platte River Basin snowpacks, the Wind River Mountains, the mountains of western Wyoming, the valleys of eastern Idaho, and western Wyoming, northeast Utah, a good slug of moisture as well. I also want to highlight this. You see this right here over North Dakota? Well, some of this Pacific moisture is going to go over on top of the colder air here. This is going to be snow. North Dakota and northeastern Montana, you're going to have another snow event this weekend, adding to the snow totals already. So livestock interest, another kind of brutal weekend coming up of weather. You've had a rough week. Of course, the silver lining is all this moisture, which North Dakota and eastern Montana really needs. And then we look here, and then we look at how dry this area continues to be. And I'm afraid that's how it's going to go next week as well. This is what the snowfall forecast looks like. And here is that area right here of that potential snowfall for North Dakota this weekend. And then you can see the mountain areas are going to do very well. Look at the Sierras. Nice shot of some April moisture there. Look at these temperatures. I'm going to step forward and give you the temperatures relative to average for the next several days. And you can see the purple. So it goes without saying, that's where it's going to be the coldest. These are temperatures by tomorrow afternoon relative to average. You can see how cold the west is. This is Friday. This is Saturday. Really not much difference. Starting to get a little bit warmer here. A little wedge of warmth coming on in. But look how cold it is everywhere else. So this is Saturday. And this is for Easter Sunday. Look at the cold up here continuing. That is really, really cold for April. Just stubborn cold. And one reason is the snow cover. Snow cover up there is deep, and that's really going to keep temperatures down. But notice it's really along and south of I-70 is where the warmth is, and the cold north of those areas through Easter Sunday. Now here's some good news. By Monday, we showed you this yesterday, high pressure does build into the Rockies and the West. This is going to warm us up. So we're going to have some much better spring weather, going to feel more like spring during the first half of next week. This is a frontal system. It looks kind of like a big system, but it's going to kind of come through, flatten the ridge, and what will happen is it will push warm air out ahead of it. So these are the temperature anomalies by Monday. Still cold up here, but warming up down here. By Tuesday, the warmth extends further north. Some moderation in temperature up here, but now look how warm though eastern Colorado, western Nebraska, and eastern Wyoming gets, as well as the Great Basin, while the Pacific Northwest stays chilly. The biggest warm up, look at this. Warmth extends all the way into Canada. Cold up here because of snow cover. This is because of snow cover as well, if you're wondering. And temperatures, though, elsewhere, we have a nice warm up. So, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, warmer weather coming. This is the front Tuesday night and Wednesday. It'll produce a few showers, mainly in the mountains. Now, as we look ahead, this is for next Friday and Saturday. We see a low coming into California. This, if it comes in like this, will be a really good rain producer for all of California, maybe. The Pacific Northwest as well. Now, this is where we kind of get to a fork in the road. What we want to see for many of you watching this podcast is to see the storm take a track like this, which would then bring better precipitation in the eastern Colorado, western Kansas, western and central Nebraska, southeastern and eastern Wyoming, maybe down into parts of New Mexico that really, really need it. This is one scenario. The other scenario is what's been happening this spring, which is for these storms to go up like this. So we're going to be looking at another large storm next week. But is it going to be track number 1, track number 2, or somewhere in between? Don't know. Stay tuned. We do see another system coming in behind it later on that will impact the region as we get into the following week.